Greetings and welcome everyone to the Discovery Freelancer Podcast thing. My name is Spazzy, aka Syndromes, and today with me I have the best of Discovery, Doj.
Hello.
And Jetblack.
Hi.
Anyway, from this little group here that is going to help me with the topic today and our very first episode, I am in fact the only person here who's not permanently banned from disco. Anyway,
well, I'm technically not even officially banned because it was a silent ban.
Well, fair enough. Well, I never got a sanction threat either, so hush.
So good.
QQ. Anyway, before we start, let's just take a moment here and meet our two... I wanted to say contestants, but then I realized we're not really contesting anything, so...
There's no contest.
Yeah, there is no contest, so just, hey, Jetblack, tell us about
Simply,
yourself.
I win.
Just how you got to disco, why did you got banned?
I got to Discovery by being the best at everything. That's about what happened. I was playing Freelancer one day and noticed the first build of Discovery, I think it was on ModDB, and played it, and it was a total piece of shit. And then I left, and then I came back years later, and it was actually fun because you could piss people off and kill them, make them lose things that they actually worked for hours on, and they'd cuss you out.
Well, at least the guys, you know...
At least we have fun.
And they're like subhuman pieces of shit, so there's nothing to feel bad about.
Well, fair enough. At least
Well,
you're honest. What about you, Dodge?
Well, do you still want that fucking introduction? Like, I am Dutch, I am a hardcore brony, I am pretty much an anti-Semitist, etc. Like, all the rumors are true. Anyway, I got to Discovery via Xfire, where I talked to some guy who was talking about Discovery being a fun place to piss people off, so I started doing that. But over the years I actually started trying to be a proper member of the community because in the end roleplay turned out to be decently fun as a sort of immersion adding thing. Anyway, I also in that time span started pissing people like Brett and G.I. Joe off and every other furry. Which
Dude,
eventually,
you know what I'm gonna do?
No, but I don't care. That is what eventually got me banned.
Yeah.
So that is where I am right now. Still pissing people off with little what's it called?
Well, let's face
regard
it.
for the rules.
Well, let's face it. You are trying to be at least discreet about it, like fucking Jetblack. Nice threads today, huh? Fucking Jesus.
Oh yes, those were quality threads. I noticed Jesus was anally penetrating a baby who was just born. Interesting, and yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna call
guys, the best of the best, and these guys are going to help me today with our first topic. And by popular vote, we today need to discuss the factions of Discovery. The
Oh
player
boy.
ones. Oh, fuck.
Only official ones or
The official
unofficial ones as well.
Okay,
So,
what the fuck
first
is
What does
before-
Spencer
Shut
to
up.
instill them about?
Like, before we start, quick question. When did you join?
I think in 2006, 7 or 8, I've kind of forgot. I think 8.
Ah, bitch, I was first build.
And
Yeah,
what
good for
about
you.
I
Like,
technically...
when did you actually join when you started playing?
I think it was late 8-4.
So pretty much like I did. Okay, so back then, your favorite faction, as in, you know, not to troll, but actually, you know, you were in that faction, it was fun. What about...
I am getting some odd statics.
I think it might be... Hey, Jetblack, you still there?
I'm here.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, what was my favorite faction to play on?
Yeah. What was it?
No, it's
Yeah, it was
actually
you.
me.
They were pretty fucking fun to play as back in 8-4.
So who?
The Order. That's like the third time I said it.
Yeah, you're sort of
They
just
had,
popping
they had
in
a
and
bunch
out.
of They have a bunch of really fun shit to play with. It's just now they're so fucking distanced from everybody. You can't be an asshole with them.
One thing.
I don't know. I sort of got attacked by a Order Recon cruiser undocking from Rochester.
That's... Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, and he's a fuckhead. He's not even supposed to be there.
I like
Anyway,
that you
what-
learned him to me.
Mr. Spezzy, what was the question?
The question was, back in the day when you first joined, what was your first faction that you were actually happy in?
GMG.
GMG.
Yes.
Did they actually exist back then?
Yeah. I think I joined them in like 85.
Oh,
Mid 85.
Oh, fair enough.
I think my antics with being an asshole really started up when I was working with Kruger and Dahlman Heavy Construction. I was doing a double agent type thing, and I had them both paying me to kill each other and rob them for their ore under different aliases. And I think that's where it really started, because I made enough money to get in a cruiser in like a day.
Okay.
It was pretty good.
So here's a good question about factions. How would you describe an actual faction that would be a good faction? What describes a good faction?
How about nomads that are actually just horrible motherfuckers that don't come here to be all that fucking edgy bullshit, where they just fucking float around and look pretty, try to communicate through thoughts with stupid fucking obscure phrases, when their sole purpose in the video game is to kill the human race. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Because talk equals RP, right? No, PvP does. But anyway, a good faction... well, if I'm going to take existing faction as examples...
You don't have to take existing ones. Just
Oh,
in
I
your,
can, though.
in your opinion, what actually
Just to,
classifies a good faction?
Well, that's like saying, go make a good faction, Dodge, because I never really made a good one. I can for a fact tell what are bad qualities of a faction, but I gotta admit, I don't know how to make a good one myself.
Well, still try and name it.
Well, as one example, having a goals to strive for in your faction, being treated equally and not actually as a recruit or a noob, and instead just a fellow player, because usually lower rank members are treated like shit by the higher rank ones. Now usually
they're not really given a chance to evolve. I mean, you
No,
have your
not much.
second in command, first in command, you know, the HQ.
Who tend to just circle jerk outside of the view of the regular members. And most factions don't actually work to, quote, improve RP of newer players. They just invite them over under welcome threads in order to get more activity, which is kind of sad. I see that shit all the time from IC, for example.
Well, then again, IC is a trading faction. I mean, that is sort of the first interest you have if you join a server and you don't know what to do.
Yeah, but when they promise you to help you learn how to roleplay at least a bit, and you don't actually do that and just try to use them as an activity hoarder, then you're being an asshole.
I don't know. For me, actual faction is a group of players which are approved by the admins whose duty and chance, like, not their, you know, I don't know how to...
Well, that's the one problem with the entire game, is it literally cannot be good. This isn't like a major gaming company. It's literally a handful of dudes given free reign over a fucking server with a few hundred or so people who use it, and naturally there are going to be some douchebags in it. There's nothing we can... Yeah, I mean, Hawk being one of them. He's a faggot.
Okay, we'll save that
And
for
I
later.
love killing every single junker, because every single one of them is a little faggot who cries to him the second they die.
Anyway, I'm gonna quickly finish what I started. Basically, in my opinion, a player faction as a description, right? A player faction is a group of players, admin approved, which are given the right and the chance to promote their own factions, like their own NPC factions roleplay, and move it forward, right? That's the basic idea behind it. But the problem I have with factions is that they do something, right? They achieve some sort of point, and they just sit there. That's it.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good assessment. of what they are right now.
Here, let me give you a good idea of why I got banned permanently last time.
Which last time?
Well, the
It's just
first
like
time.
They
Dodge
get.
just reminded
Dude, I'm
me.
trying to talk, nigger. It's just like you're giving them a sort of power, and they don't actually use it. Just bloat around with it.
They did use it. For example, they got there somehow to sort of cement their, power as an official
Well, they
faction.
abuse it then.
Well,
not
really,
use it.
the way you get official status now is who can suck the most dick. That's the
Yeah,
core.
pretty much.
Yeah, but the problem right now is we have one official faction per ID, right? And this
Yeah.
turns into some very interesting moments. I'm going to use the Junker Congress as an example because I had that moment with them, right? The Junker Congress right now is a specific Junker group which has their own diplomacy, right? The problem is that if you're playing a Junker independent character, you are dependent on their diplomacy because basically, let's face it, the Junker Congress right now in Liberty, for example, are just sucking the Liberty Navy's dick because every time someone like smuggles something, they instantly get blamed and they have to faction right 5 that player.
Yeah, but I'm pretty
Otherwise,
sure
they
that's not
get
an
shot.
NRP dick sucking, but actually
Well,
just a regular circle jerk on the server
let's
itself.
face it, most of the in-roleplay decisions come from Skype chats.
Yeah, pretty
It
much.
really does.
Let's just
That's
face
why,
it.
you know,
You
we
can't
get
really
fucking
call the
swarmed.
Discovery server a server that's based around roleplay anymore.
Exactly. No, I mean, I have
What are you
nothing
talking about,
against
Nick?
factions themselves, but I want them to have a bit less power in the sense as, for example, again, as an example, Liberty Rogues. They're supposed to be a very small group within the Liberty Rogues. So how the hell does Faction Right
They get
5
a
work?
fucking cruiser.
No, that's another thing. The Mollies have a cruiser. But I mean,
Mollies have access to massive reserves of fucking gold. Though.
exactly. They can have a cruiser. It's their cruiser.
Yeah,
anyway.
they're rich as fuck.
Anyway, dude, imagine this. How the fuck does Faction Right 5 work with the Liberty Rogues? Because basically, you are a band of, 15 people in the Liberty Rogues, which consist out of several thousand independent pirates. So how the fuck do you lock a base down from someone if they can pretty much just say, imagine you're the docking operator of Buffalo. The LR goes like, yeah, you know that guy? Don't let him in. And the guy just comes like, hey dude, you want 2 mil? Let me in? Yeah, sure. It's a rogue. He wouldn't give a shit. 2 mil.
Well, the general idea about official factions and their power isn't very constructive.
No,
It's
yeah,
more of
because
a
some of the
dictatorish thing
Sorry,
rather than.
Can I quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Quickly. Basically, what I wanted to say with that is that the admins gave them a lot of toys, a lot of freedom, a lot of power, but it does not make sense in roleplay for a few special factions, like a few.
You forget
factions who are
one
not.
big issue too. The fact that Hawk plays Mother Goose to the Junker Congress, and anybody who dares to fuck with them gets fucked.
Yeah, and not just
well-
in terms of roleplay consequences, but he also starts waging fucking wars on Skype with you. If you've been
Yeah.
around to
Well,
check
we will be able
Altegras,
to see this in a moment. I mean, by the time that we're recording this, their base in Puerto Rico is being sieged by the Hellfire Legion. Let's just see.
oh
if
no,
some-
they got bored of it and instead started raiding the base in Texas.
Is it a Junker base?
Yeah, but not a Congress base.
Well, in before they get sanctioned by Hawk, anyway. So, Dodge, you were saying.
I forgot, but oh yeah, if you remember Altegras and Kipilan, or was something like that.
No.
There were 2 rogues who roleplayed as 2 rogues on Fortaleza and Humboldt.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an excellent example you got there.
Yeah, I actually
Yeah.
like their idea of being from Fortaleza because that base itself was never used. They used it to stage piracy attacks on the junkers there. But the moment they started doing that, Hawk got on their asses on Skype and started threatening to ban them, and along with other threats which you really shouldn't bring
So
out as
basically,
fucking
we are
admin.
talking about rogues attacking Junkers.
Which is fair game.
Which
No,
is
not just
fair game
attacking,
in
just
theory,
pirating.
especially when they're so far away. I mean, the Junkers of
Well,
Rochester.
this all
and
kind
Forge,
of this all kind of comes back to the core problem with Discovery. The leadership of the entire thing, the whole game revolves around killing people and furthering your progress in the game. When you give admins the ability to do anything, of course they're going to use that to further their own agenda at some point or another. A good example would be, I know for a fact, Dell has been a shitlord quite a few times. I'm pretty sure you were telling me about that earlier.
Well, I gave an example where basically Dell.
No, I've seen him. I've seen him in game before too.
Yeah,
I've actually seen a number of admins use their abilities to their advantage. That's going to happen, but then you got the fact that the average member of Discovery, it's basically like DeviantArt in here.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's basically a bit human nature to see someone become prejudiced when in a position of power.
Dude, when I was leading the LR, I
Yo,
hated
no, wait, I wasn't-
anyone. I wanted to kill anyone who said something bad about the LR. It's
Yeah,
understandable.
of course. It's a
But
sort of
then we have a person,
bond.
a
But
leader.
dude, I wasn't finished yet.
Sorry.
As a human being, when you get the task of getting such a power, you should also be capable of not letting prejudice get in the way.
Which is impossible.
No, it's not impossible. I've been an administrator on a
Well, for
Pokemon Online server, just not very related, but it's still a power position.
Well, a powerful position is one thing. In Discovery, a position of power means that you have the control over, in theory.
I had the control
over
of the
all
server,
IDs.
basically. I could fuck the whole server up if I wanted to, but I didn't, because I am actually a human being who can take responsibility. And I can tell for
That's
myself that it's
self-restraint.
perfectly possible.
That's not responsibility, that's self-restraint in your order, because where are you going to troll if you fuck up the server?
Well,
Don't
there's
answer
plenty of other servers.
Don't
FYI.
answer that.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that you can easily suppress prejudice and actually act equal to every other player. Instead of what people like Hawk are doing, who are using their administrative power in favor of themselves.
In my opinion, it was, from my personal experience, it was always a very bad situation when you had someone as a leader or second in the command of a faction and he's an admin. It just does not work like that.
How do you mean?
Basically, for example, we had Dell as the leader of the Liberty Rogues, and he was an admin. So obviously, when it came to Liberty Rogue sanctions, there was always some sort of leeway. I can't prove it. I can only say what I've seen so far, for example. I mean, for example, we were raiding. Dell was leading the raid, and one of our guys fucked up, like broke server rules. In theory, he should have done something about it, but well, obviously he turned a blind eye. And this should also be noted that yeah, that sort of happens a lot these days. But anyway, returning about the whole roleplay aspect of player factions. Has anyone noticed that at some point, when a certain group inside an existing faction are basically, you join the player faction with ideas you want to implement, you want to suggest, and then you see they're just sitting in one's place, right?
Yeah.
So at some point, people break off from that faction and start a faction of their own, which is impossible because of the one ID rule. So far we have the Outcast faction, what's his face? And now
Contari Lance.
Yes, and now we have the Padua Liberty Rogues.
Yeah, but the latter isn't actually aiming for officialship. But there has been cases, as far as I know, that where an official faction was aiming for officialship and actually took over the existing official faction's position. I don't know.
I think a really good example of how admins use their positions to their advantage would be our cruisers, Rio Ryusu and Geno Totosu. We had literally every single official faction and their mothers placing bounties on us left and right.
Yeah, but for
primarily
what reason?
from the Junkers.
But for what reason? What did you do?
We parted the Junkers in Humboldt. That's all.
And we
Yeah, the
rated
thing
it
about
base.
is, the only thing I can comment about this, but back in my time, when I say my time, I mean my time when I was in the Liberty Rogues, we had a very delicate situation with the Junkers Congress because they were being harassed by the Liberty Navy, and we tried to help them a bit, like, out of roleplay, obviously, to somehow stabilize those ties and just make it a bit more easier for them, because back in the day there was a lot of drama considering them. Speaking of drama, zoners. Just
Don't even get me started.
Let's not talk about that.
yeah, just zoners, everybody. Just
The problem with them is they think that since they're a neutral faction, this includes the Junkers too, that they should automatically be immune to any sort of harm. That's what makes them freak out so bad.
And that's a perfect summary of every single zoner faction to date. I don't have anything to add to that.
pretty much, yeah. I suppose I could give a few examples, but those were momentary examples, and at some point those factions just boiled down to trying to gain the most profit out of their neutralness.
Pretty much.
I mean, they can start off with wild ambitions, but at some point they are going to go for a, well, we're neutral, lol. At some point. But the thing about the Junkers, they feel that they have the power, because unless you have your own base nearby, a Junker base or a free port is pretty much the only place you can land. And for some reason...
for some pirates, that is.
Yeah, for some pirates, I mean. And for some reason, it's sort of automatically translated to some sort of power. So, I don't know. I mean, I sort of got into that situation. If anyone remembers, I still had that one video about me and Rao on our Xenos attacking a zoner base. In the end, we got attacked by the Xeno Alliance, trying to protect the zoner base. Again, it doesn't make sense. So, pretty much again, the only faction with like one ID per faction, right? Sorry, one faction per ID, and we have to follow, as an independent player, we need to follow that faction's diplomacy, even if they're not exactly represented as a whole faction. For example, like the Liberty Navy, right? They're the whole faction, and then there's the rogues, who are basically just a group.
Well, you can of course solve the issue with giving every official faction a unique ID.
True that, but who
Or
would
just
deal
remove
with it?
the one official faction per ID rule.
Yeah, but who would deal with technology progress? Actually, I really miss those times when all of the technology related things were handled in roleplay. For example, you could, in theory, get a saber with Corsair pulse guns, right? No one would stop you, except for your own outcast buddies, who would shoot you to fucking bits for that. I remember there was a Corsair. I actually had a Corsair back then. Wow. He had a saber, not a Titan. He got a saber. He got killed every time he undocked.
I remember the most fun I had was when I made a Corsair outcast, like a Corsair rebel trying to overthrow everybody.
Yeah, he probably got shot from both sides.
Oh no, I had outcasts working with me eventually. That was a pretty cool event. You couldn't do something like that nowadays, though.
Yeah. I mean, the last time someone... who was the guy who tried to, like, defect from the Liberty Navy? Black Scorpion or something? Like,
yeah,
yeah, he got his asshole punched in by the players first and by the admin team next.
Actually, I once tried to defect with one of my Liberty Navy ships. It was the LNS Kitty Hawk, gun mode.
Yeah.
In roleplay, I was having some fucked up affair with a Liberty Rogue and decided to defect with that. But I got Jihad Joe on my case on Skype, constantly whining about how out of roleplay I was for trying something new in my eyes. And for not following regular role-playing procedures of the Liberty Navy, and eventually got FR5'd by every lawful faction there.
That's
Then I got
well,
Well, that
sanctioned.
sort of makes sense, being
Yeah, but then
You have to follow
when
a
they
standard
started
on the server.
when they started shooting me and I started shooting back, I got sanctioned for out of roleplay behavior.
Because you were shooting them with the ID.
I was just keeping the LN ID, yes, of course, but they started shooting me as well,
Well, to be fair,
including Andy's.
well, dude,
How is that any
coming back-
different?
Dude, coming back from your own comments about the server being basically a PvP server with roleplay elements, right?
Yeah.
One might argue that she took that cruiser not for roleplay but for PvP advantages, so obviously it was sort of looked down upon. If you do that in 84, I don't think anyone would say anything about it, because I'm pretty sure that was the time when a lot of people do that. I think I actually went to the Outcast with my siege cruiser once. It didn't turn out, obviously, but still, there were a lot less repercussions back then.
Well, if it
That
makes
sort
it
of
feel
roleplay.
any easier, I'll gladly make an Outcast Toda along with Jetblack and start fucking things up with that. It's not really... we don't really need it to be good at it or anything. We just like the ship for the looks of it, and it had some benefits, so why not use it?
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, that
our
reminds
tech
me.
allows it.
That actually reminds me. From one side, you have official faction hunting down players who, rogue roleplay, right? They go rogue.
Yeah.
And from the other side, for example, you have the what's-his-face dragon, a Kusari battleship Rainland military ID'd, and the Liberty Navy, on the other hand, have a what's-his-face Gallic battleship.
Did you? Never saw that. Only saw a bunch of
They
the
had
I
side.
know for a fact there's a Corsair out there with the Gallic battleship, but he's nerfed down to 10%, even though he's spent a fuck ton of time trying to work out everything on it. I don't understand.
Don't you mean the Outcast one? Because
Yeah,
the
Outcast,
first
that's
pack
right.
also has one.
I don't understand why they keep it. I mean, personally, I think it's
And it's
stupid.
even in the
Let's get an example.
101st.
Yeah, I remember it was trying to help us kill a base. His power was nerfed down so bad.
Murder, I can fire
transport
my
did
mortar.
damage.
Guys, for example, how many factions, do you remember the most fail faction you can imagine? From the
Does
ones
that
who've
include
been,
unofficial?
unofficial, official ones, dead ones, existing ones,
What happened to the Reapers?
the Reapers? They were outcasts, then they
The
defected.
Reapers are serious.
Yeah.
No,
fucking
yeah, like
okay.
the fucking terrorists.
Oh, you mean Phantoms?
Phantoms, that's right.
Oh, well, basically a lot of people QQ'd about, little to no roleplay involved. Basically, they did not fit the Freelancer lore, as if fucking Gallics do, but whatever.
Or talking wolves.
Where did the fucking
Spaceship.
French come
Oh, by
from,
the way,
huh?
shout out to... what's his face?
Night Nalta Darkwolf, or also known as Alpha
Autistic
Blood
fuckface?
on the forums. Yeah, that one.
Autistic
Dear
fuckface, that's
sir,
what-
I'm going to give you a very slow clap
For your wonderful RP.
for me being a furry and me starting to hate furries who roleplay on the server. That was
Oh man, his fucking thing on the Discovery GC forums is just beautiful. Have you read it yet?
Yeah, we can
Allow
send
me
you
to
guys a link.
narrate it.
I sort of can't
Wolf
help
slash
that, but
Nalta
anyway.
Dark Wolf.
Oh, we'll just
Biography.
put it in description or something.
I'll put it in the description. Anyway, so what about the Phantoms? Well, pretty much that. They took the fucking slipstream. They took the fucking slipstream away.
And every other Phantom ship.
Yeah, I never wanted it. Well, to be fair, the Huntress was a piece of shit ship.
Dude, the
I never
fucking Phantom Cruiser
saw it in
was
action.
so
Well done.
badass.
It looked badass, but it couldn't shoot down. Back in
Oh,
84, you
dude,
could solo
that
with a
motherfucker can fuck shit up.
Unless you were in a gunboat, it at least had one pulse turret, and you could
If you had
hide
at least one
behind.
pulse turret, you could kill anything
Well,
on a gunboat.
yeah, pretty much. Well, 84 gunboats
With
were
the
the
advent,
shit.
there we go. There's another thing to complain about: turret steering.
Or the general monopolization of
How-
combat.
How do you break a game that badly and
I
decide
don't
to
know.
keep
I
it?
mean, for me, as someone who really loves flying gunboats or cruisers, I don't see the big deal about.
Yeah, because you'd never fly a small ship, but those that actually worked hard to get their
Snub
skill
crabs
I mean,
on a high
people
level.
are saying now that gunboats are overpowered, except for Vagar, who says that cruisers are overpowered. But
Gunboats, nor cruisers, nor battleships are overpowered. It's third tier that makes them overpowered.
Yeah, but I mean, now you have gunboats, anti-snub ships, who actually pose a threat to snubs. I mean, if I'm flying my Xeno bomber or my light fighter and I see a hostile gunboat, I fucking leg it.
Dude, back
Yes,
in
but there's one
85,
key-
I had Pulse Razor gunboats everywhere, and I fucked up every single gank with as many as snubs as you can imagine.
Yes,
Well,
that's the thing. You have
It's just,
battleships.
that is still a matter of skill, which a lot of people don't have.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
I
take
mean,
that into account when trying to balance
so
the game out.
question is it bad that a current class of ship has become newbie friendly?
Yes,
Well,
it
it
is.
depends, because the way it was, we used to have different classes of ships. You had one ship, but you had multiple setups. Now you can just have one ship with a universal setup that kills everything equally good.
I
You
don't know. I
basically-
still
Like I
think
should
that.
not be able to. I should not be able to hop in a cruiser and seriously tank a battleship with Cerberus cannons and dodge every single one of its shots at like 1,000 meters.
Well, to be fair, the cruiser is an artillery, basically with the light mortar and missiles.
It's supposed to be really fucking far away.
Yeah,
Not
but it's
right
just
up.
Yeah,
service.
I mean,
It's-
all the battleship needs to do is just launch missiles, or just cruise up to the guy.
which is a bit of a waste of a slot since the turret splitting, because you only get
If-
3 or 2 heavy battleship turrets.
Oh, fair
And
enough.
if you try to cruise up to him, the cruiser can just thrust away from you and wait for your fucking 30 seconds till your thing even starts charging.
Unless you abuse that cruise,
yeah.
frankly,
Essentially, battleships are
which everyone does anyway.
they're just a big dick swinging thing right now.
Yeah,
Pretty
and at the same time, a lot of people still fly it, so apparently it's not that bad.
Because you don't die in
Yeah.
it so fast as in a small ship when you suck so badly. You get a fuck ton of armor to protect you.
And they're pretty.
They
Yeah,
are
not-
pretty. I love the Rancer. That thing's so much fun to fly.
I only like a few in terms of legs, like the Osiris, but that one is vanilla.
Yeah, and then again, the SARS apparently was just fucked over to shit.
The Osiris
Yeah,
is
it was. It
garbage.
went from the top 1 battleship to the shittiest one I've ever seen, or flown at least.
So we
Unfortunate.
somehow moved from factions to ships.
Yeah, wasn't that for another episode?
Yeah, I think it was. But anyway, guys, like, back to the topic. Worst faction in your eyes, like, ever, and why?
Well, they just stuck it taut because a lot of them are pretty fucking bad.
Like, who were the talk for those
The IMG. The IMG combined with CR, at least the old CR, because I don't see the new one around that much.
Well, do tell why.
Well, for one, wait, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I think it was Jetblack. He just
Yeah, okay. Well, for one of their daily activities is mining empty every single mining field in series itself. That way you don't give any new players who like to play independently, or just any other independent players, to mine for themselves and earn some money.
I think they sort of fixed that by upping the field yield itself.
Yeah, they still mine it empty, trust me. They spend 3 hours mining Tau 23 empty every day. I can't pass there.
So basically, it's either a I can't tell if they're doing it on purpose or not, or basically
They're
it's
just doing it to earn as much money as possible for whatever reason. Probably to hoard as much due money as possible.
or maybe they're just trying to force the players into the faction.
Yeah, that's
So
also a
basi-
possibility.
like aggressive recruitment, on purpose or not, can't tell. But this is
More or
basically
less.
what happens.
Well, anyway, that's just point 1. Point 2, they're whenever I run into them, whether it's on a friendly or hostile character, they are generally very hostile to everything that isn't green on their scanners.
Well, to be
you-
fair, they're
if you think-
miners. There should be paranoid.
Well, yeah, but it's still a game,
Well,
and it's not. They don't
I
act
love
like
that
that
excuse.
to be in role play. Yeah, I know, but it's a legitimate reason. Like they don't actually behave that way in order to be a better kind of role player, but because that's how they are.
And what about you, Jetblack? Do name us a contestant.
Wasn't he finished? But okay.
Well,
I mean, I've got a lot of things to bitch about regarding IMG.
Yeah, I know. You cut me off like 99% of the time I've talked so far.
Well,
come
go
on,
ahead.
let's give Jetblack a chance. Speak your mind, you good sir.
Oh shit! 1 second. I don't know. I actually haven't been keeping up with the conversation because I've just been browsing around the internet for now because Dodge was talking.
Yeah, well, do tell. Like,
where were we?
Like the worst faction you ever.
Honestly, the worst faction in terms of roleplay currently on the server has to be the Nomads. I can't bitch enough about them.
Do bitch along.
For an alien race that's bent on the entire destruction of the human race, they even wiped out our solar system. They're pretty friendly. You know, you see them just chilling out in New York and shit, flying light fighters and stuff. Honestly, the new players that log on a Nomad light fighter and just start killing shit without even a word, as bad as that is, that's really the more appropriate scenario for anything Nomads do.
Yeah, I mean, they are supposed to be. If you see a Nomad on your scanner, you really want to run.
I actually just kill it. Like, I take every single Nomad I find on any character.
I remember, and they'll bitch you out too. They love to bitch you out for poor RP if you kill them. Well, sorry to suck your dick.
The amount of things you type does not equal the amount of roleplay you utilize.
It's a fucking evil alien. You're supposed to kill them on sight. And then you get, like, okay, and the other trend I noticed. How many fucking characters have, like, a teenage fucking martial arts practicing super genius bitch who's also the fucking admiral of a goddamn warship?
Anthony Smith. Does that ring a bell?
Shout out to Anthony Smith.
And then there's that fucking, who is it? Jeremy Hunter, that cocksucker in the
Oh my god.
Fuck that guy. I know I've killed him so many times, and every time it felt good.
I don't know, I'm sort of biased against the Keepers because they were actually the first faction I was in, and they were at the same time. Okay, basically, what happened is that I had a spatial in Liberty, a Liberty Navy spatial, and Joe kicked me out of Liberty for that because I didn't want to change that ship. I really like how it looked. And I went with a mercenary ID back when there was a mercenary ID. Went to the Tau 23 system, found the outcasts, and basically what I remember is me sitting at Omicron Alpha, right, next to Malta in a Liberty Navy IFF spatial with a mercenary ID, Vengeances, and talking to Keeper Telshine. Like, that was my first time I met a Keeper, and it was awesome, actually. Because I had no fucking idea what he was saying.
Was he doing that stupid, like, fucking asterisk, squiggly, whatever the fuck talk?
Yeah, but back then, that was cool, actually. That was something...
no, it's just writing down a bunch of fucking gibberish. But
yeah, but I mean, you would expect something to change over 5 years.
I should make a Nomad and, like, describe myself jacking off on their face or something.
No, actually...
Like,
I mean, they're supposed to evolve, aren't they? I mean, the excuse for them to be telepathic and shit is that they evolved from regular Nomads.
Yeah.
So why can't they just talk normally now?
Because that would be too mainstream. Nomad hipsters.
Totally.
No, I mean, when I had a Nomad, I was actually in the Keepers only because of Arthur Degar. And when I had to make a Nomad just because I was in the Nomads, what I did, I communicated purely through visions. Like, no Nomad speak, only visions. Like, you know, like ... UC blah 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 something. You know, like that. That was an
standard bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't have as much.
I think another thing I noticed is people seem to have it in their ideas that pirates are supposed to have some sort of sense of honor and sportsmanship.
Yeah, that is something that me, as a strictly unlawful player, like a lawful character.
Well, that's really just a quote. This is just a game, not real life kind of.
Did I mention I love that
scenario?
excuse?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you meet a pirate, he wants your stuff. I mean, he wants your stuff. He doesn't have to leave you, like...
I love getting PM'd, but then I won't make any profit.
Well, sucks to be
Who
you.
gives a
Should have
fuck?
hired an escort.
Exactly.
By the way, shout out to all of the people who don't want to hire escorts because you have to pay, like, half of your cargo. You're doing it wrong. Instead of paying them per trip, tell them, dude, I'm going to give you 10 million for every kill you do in front of me. Boom.
Yeah, that's a good scam.
That's a good scam because there's not really that much of a chance that you will encounter a pirate. If you will encounter the pirate...
You're fucked most of the time.
No, I mean, no, the guy's gonna get fucked because he's gonna attack the guy and you can just slip by. And if he dies...
I don't know about you, but a good pirate, me and Dodge are good pirates. And honestly, we've learned that... Yeah. We've learned that, honestly, fuck the escorts. Fuck the escorts. Kill the traitor, because that's the real target. The escort's a distraction.
The only problem is, like, if you're smart... Oh, I remember, I had a Liberty 5K called the Unbiased Hypocrisy. I hired 7 freelancers and just told them, guys, 20 to 30 mil for anything that dies in my path. Like, the Liberty Britonia road was never so clean. I lost about 200.5 million credits, but I didn't care. It was so funny. But
yeah, that's the thing, though. That's where you went wrong. You do that, you get their hopes up, and then you don't pay them.
That is really fun to do, especially with miners.
Yeah, stealing from miners is an art.
Yeah, having to mine and rob them, that's always a good trick. I love junkers.
Anyway, aren't we diverting off the topic again?
Sort of, but let's quickly touch on a similar topic, Xeno ID. Best ID in the game.
If not the no ID.
I love my racists.
There aren't any traders in the Omicrons. So
you loved your racists. Xeno before it got deleted. Anyway.
I got deleted for calling some guy a Jew-hating space Muslim.
How does that even work? Anyway, Xeno ID, Xeno factions, best factions ever because, let's just say that I really hate traders. I used to hate traders because they had so many rule exemptions that, for example, they can return to the same system. And, you know, I really hated that. Yeah. The Xeno ID was my introduction on how to fuck these people over. Because basically, if you meet a Xeno and you're not from Liberty, then he doesn't
watch you!
Yeah, he doesn't want your cargo. He doesn't want your shitty money. He
wants
just
you to die.
wants you to die. I love that.
That's the exact reason why I made it Xeno in the first place. I fucking hate traders in general. They're always so hell-bent on making as much money as possible and bitching as much as possible when they lose that.
No, I hated them because basically you were forced to obey some sort of rules. For example, I pirated someone for money, and once he paid me, he was safe. That was back in the day when you couldn't exactly kill the guy after he paid you. And basically the guy just goes, oh, lol, 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 well, fuck you, nigger, lol, 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 you can't touch me anymore. And I couldn't touch him, obviously.
I didn't still just shoot him, actually.
Yeah,
like, fuck
now
it,
you can
sort
do
of
that
behavior.
easily, but back then you couldn't exactly do that. So, basically, people used to whine so much because of those pixel credits. It was actually very fun to shoot them, and it still is. The Xeno ID, in my eyes, the most cathartic ID on the game.
Praise the Xenos.
Praise the Xenos.
Ah, yes.
Ah, yes.
It's a shame they don't actually have anything, too. Honestly, Xenos are really underplayed on the server.
Yes,
Did they and the LWB are the only factions which don't have discovery content, I think.
Yeah.
Except some high leveled guns, but that's it.
Actually, I was thinking about suggesting that each house should get their own version of the Xeno ID.
That'd be pretty cool.
Basically, kill every foreigner that enters it.
Well, there's the
Shit,
Hagosha.
I'd already instantly have one account filled with
Hagosha-
bombers.
They fucked that idea over.
The thing about a Hagosha is that they're more interested in the actual welfare of Kusari and their own pocket, obviously. So killing traitors is not exactly what you want to do. You want to extort them, but not kill them.
No. You can roleplay to where you want
Yeah,
to
there's still the Daikaijin kind of thing.
So,
The closest thing to the Xenos, actually.
You see, the other thing, dude, if you really just want to get back at traders, just make ridiculous demands. There you go. You kill every single trader.
yeah, and they get banned, but sorry, not everyone has a fucking list of VPNs to use.
Hey, I'm cool right now.
And only thanks to me.
No kidding. So what else can we talk about the player factions? Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I could add that, like, most player factions are pretty fucking horrible, but I think I already did that. The only good factions I used to be in were GMG and the lane hackers, and that's it.
I actually remember when lane
It's pretty
hackers
sad.
used to fly daggers, like all of the recruits
Yeah, dude, they still do that.
still do that? Cool. I remember Fate.
Yeah, so did I. It was cool guy.
I mean, he was the pirate. Like, seriously, Fate guy, if you're still around, although I really doubt you are. Dude, get your freaking late hacker pirating barge back. Because that shit was awesome. Okay, so I suppose this is enough. I think we're recording over an hour now.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be enough for the first episode. What do you think? Okay, anyway, and thank you for watching this very, very, very fucking long video. Remember to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down, although if you give a lot of thumbs down, I'll just disable the voting, so whatever.
And we'll use
comments.
macros.
Yeah, just comment on the video, just suggest something else, like future topics, and we'll just keep you updated in our own little trollish sort of way. Cheers!
You know, in our fantastic work of art that is this podcast.
Ah, fucking hell.